I, Dr. Sanjib Pattnaik, welcome all of you to this session which we are covering under the course Operations Management. This course has been coded as MMPO 003. Today we shall be discussing one of the aspects under managing operation which is covered under the block 3 of the particular course. Now when we are talking about managing operations, in the previous sessions we have seen for management of operations in a smooth and efficient way, we start with forecasting of the demand of our product or services, so that we can be able to deliver the items to the customers at the right time, so that they do not go away due to lack of items. If the customer goes away, then they simply go to our competitors, which becomes a beneficial activity for the competitors. So every organization strives to manage its operation in a better way by starting with forecasting the demand. Now, according to demand, we plan for producing the items. When the items are going to be produced, we have to think backwards. Why I am saying backwards? Now, suppose the demand for the customer as it has been predicted and the prediction has high degree of accuracy, that means it is going to happen today. Today we have to deliver a finished good. Now, the finished good cannot instantly be manufactured, cannot instantly be created. It requires some time to be created. Now that depends upon the type of product. For some product, it may take few months, some product weeks, some product days, or some items or services will take few hours to generate. Now we have to think backwards. Our demand, suppose, is going to happen today from the customer. That means we have to provide the customer with the desired output in the form of either product or services, which our organization is uh, generating. Now we think how much time it will take to produce that or generate a service. Suppose today demand is 10 units, and in order to produce it, it requires 4 days. So 4 days ahead of today or before today, we have to plan and start producing this 10 units. So that if we plan it beforehand, then our actual finished product will happen today and it can be easily delivered to customers. So think that we are starting to produce today any item. That product definitely will be satisfying the demand in the future. So when we start producing it, by keeping in view the future demand which has been forecasted, then we have to think of what are the various parts, components which come together to manufacture the item. So we have to be ready with those items, components, so that manufacturing can start and go on smoothly till we have the finished items 4 days hence or 4 days in the future. So we are planning the various materials required to produce the finished items so as to satisfy the demand of the customers as and when it arises or according to the forecasted demand. So today's discussion is material requirements planning. How shall we go for having the requirement of materials, or simply speaking we call it as MRP. Material requirement planning. Immediately we are saying materials. So materials can be either the tools, the components or items which are required to produce the finished items. Now, MRP or the material requirement planning is very essential for manufacturing industry. So looking at the future demand of our products in the marketplace, we have to start manufacturing today. And that manufacturing units may be varying from time period to time period. So accordingly, you have to plan for how much of each of the items should be there in our inventory or should be ordered at what point of time, or what should be the order size. All these things will combine together to form us the material requirement planning. Now, if we don't have required materials, that means non-availability of required materials lead to stoppage in production. One may say that is one component is not there or one item in the assembly is not there, but let us carry on and complete the item. That item is not perfectly finished. It is still having some kind of manufacturing defects, or sometimes due to this lack of items which will be used in the final product, since they are unavailable, there will be stoppage in production. Now, when there is any kind of we can say stoppages, breakdowns, delays in the production system, then we'll get late in producing the finished items. And as the demand of our product happens, we cannot meet them. Whenever materials are not available, we face situation of stoppage in production. Semi-finished items lying in the godowns, etc. So workers who are designated to work at that point of processing cycle, they will sit with their hands tied together because due to unavailability of required materials, they cannot do anything. And as an organization, if we don't satisfy the customers in time with our products or services, or we pile up items which will have heavy cost for us. That means the bottom line will become negative. All this will lead to loss of organization's reputation. So material requirement planning is a tool that ensures all units connected to materials are integrated. Wherever and whenever materials are required at any point or any department or any workstation in the organization, those have to be integrated. And as per the requirement, materials have to be sent in time to the various departments. That means it creates an integrated system of material requirement. The material requirement planning as a management tool ensures that materials are available at the right time to complete the finished products according to the master production schedule, that is MPS. We'll see as we move on during this section how to create a MPS, the master production schedule. So as it has been rightly said, it is a management tool to ensure materials are available at the right time. Otherwise, we may get delayed in producing the finished item and we may not be able to deliver to the customer the finished items at the promised date. Now let us have a glance at the history and objectives of MRP, Material Requirements Planning. In an organization, Material Requirement Planning or MRP is the earliest integrated IT system. That means the requirement of material in each and all departments of the organization, the information is collected and it is integrated. It is aimed at improving business productivity using computers and software technology. In the earlier days, we were dependent on handwritten things, etc., to prepare the plans. But nowadays, the computers and artificial intelligence, they have started to help out the organization to optimize the MRP. Thereby, what will be happening? The productivity, the organization's business productivity is increased, enhanced. The first MRP system of inventory management evolved in or during 50s, you can say 40 to 50s. Now in the 70s and 80s, when there was need for expansion of capacity or setting of new capacity, the capacity planning was carried out. Now the capacity planning was linked to MRP, the materials requirement planning. And during the 1990s, the enterprise resource planning, that means whatever are the resources required for the whole of the business organization, was developed. That means a single system which will be taking care of all the requirement of materials in the organization was developed. Now coming to objectives of material requirement planning, we say the basic objectives are simply we can put down minimization of inventory cost. First one, we know that whatever is the inventory, maybe it raw materials, maybe in work in progress, maybe it is finished goods, they all cost the organization money because we have to pay for these items. Now, whenever we hold large amount of inventory, what happens? Our investment is blocked in those inventories, and chances are there that the obsolescence, thefts, etc., may occur with the stored items or the inventory. Second is lead time reduction. Now let us understand what is this lead time first. Suppose I put a order with a supplier today that I require 100 items of component X, then the answer from the supplier side or the organization manufacturing that item which is to be supplied to our department, it is not always that as we press the switch the items will come immediately. We place the order, then the order is handled by the supplier to manufacture the required items for our organization, and then they send it to us through various logistic modes. Uh, this usually takes time. Usually, the raw materials are brought to the organization, that then comes into the organization. Suppose it takes 10 days. The day I place the order, I'll get the items after 10 days, suppose. So, lead time for getting the raw material by our organization is 10 days. So that will give us an idea that if I place the order today, I'll be getting it back after 10 days. Similarly, customer also place order with our organization. That means if the items are sold in the market at a rapid pace and we have to manufacture again and again to supply to the customers who need it, what we do they? Yeah, the time from the customer placing the order for the finished items till the beginning of the production is the lead time for customers. Now, from this analysis, we can say it should be as minimum as possible. That means we should be always ready to deliver to the customers their required items. Then, last objective of MRP is faster delivery to customers. The faster we deliver to the customer, they are very happy as soon as possible. So faster delivery to customers. Now let us see some of the definition of material requirement planning. The APICS, that is American Production and Inventory Control Society, has defined this material requirement planning as a set of techniques that use bill of materials, inventory data, and the master production schedule, that is MPS, to calculate the materials required. Now here we are saying by definition MRP is to judge and to find out what are the future material requirements for our organization. It is a scheduling technique for industrial systems with numerous production levels. Now, the MRP, or as we know it, MRP 1, this system places orders to support the master production schedule and effectively handles raw material and work in process stockpiles. So MRP 1, we can say, always it places order to support the master production schedule. MRP 2, when we are talking about MRP 2, we are talking about an information system. Now this information system, all of us might have got some confusing news regarding the change in business plans due to various external pressures. But however, keeping that aside, the material requirement planning tool is an information system that industrial businesses uses to plan, manage the capacity, and keep track of inventories. So industrial businesses use that to a very great extent, or you can say in total. Now let us look at the inputs and outputs of MRP, the material requirement planning. In the middle, all of us can see the material requirement planning is there. To its left, we have the inputs, and to the right, the inputs are converted in the middle portion and goes out as outputs. Now, when you are talking about inputs, what kind of inputs we shall include? First is forecasts. Forecast of what? A forecast of demand. Second is orders. Now, where shall we get the orders? From the customers of us who will order us. For that, organization maintaining order book, whereby each and every item, whatever is the number required, they simply write it down. And this is taken care by the authority as soon as possible. Third input we are talking about is bill of materials. I will show you the bill of materials. Apart from that, our main concern is master production schedule. in what way we shall produce, how many and what point of time, so that we can achieve our goals. Then, what is the inventory level? Are further items required for managing the inventory? All these fall under the category inventory. Now, when we look at outputs, what are the outputs of MRP? First is purchase orders. Now, if to a certain exhibition we have set up a stall and we have displayed our items. Suppose 100 items are displayed or are with us in the exhibition. But one of the foreign party wants 50 pieces of that. So in that case, what is happening? Now we have to know whether our purchase orders are increasing or not. Second output is the material plan. From the point of time whereby the items or materials are coming from the supplier, how they are being given a changing dimension, and this thing will help us to make material plan. Another output is work orders along with reports. So any work that we have to undertake, that has to be ordered by the top authority. Now, through typical examples, I'll try to show you the master production schedule. The basic beginning. It is a strategy for producing each period's commodities or each period's completion of work. Whatever the work given, what is the completion? This plan will specify when and how much of every good will be required. And before MRP operates, MPS is created from orders or forecasts. I'll take a small example. Suppose construction of our house. Here I have taken, suppose our house will be completed, expected completion is 9 months. Here we have months. And my example is I am building a house. Now, if we look at a typical example of building house, it starts from something called as foundation or plinth. Now, this foundation is the basic beginning of house, and suppose it takes 3 months. So foundation. Now the first 3 months we go for foundation. Now after the foundation is complete, we go for civil works. That means the pillar, the roof, the other attachments. Suppose we start the civil work third month onwards, and it takes 2 months. Now all of you see the civil work is taking 2 months period, and in the third month of foundation already we are starting the civil work. Now let us take some other aspects of house building. The third thing that I shall be trying to take is the pipe works or PSD works, pipeline, bathroom, etc. Pipeline. And this pipeline takes suppose 2 months, and after some portion of civil work is done, it can start. Now, not only pipeline, we can have electrical works. So here electrical works can also start, and it takes 3 months. Pipeline takes 2 months, civil work takes 2 months, foundation takes 3 months, and electrical work takes 3 months. Now, from these four distinct works that are included in house building, we can see some activities have to be done fast, like foundation, which starts from the basic beginning month. And many activities can simultaneously go on. These are activities going on simultaneously. Thereby, what is happening? Instead of waiting for one particular activity to be completed, we start with another following activity once some portion of the previous activity is ready to be worked upon. Now, here we can take flooring also, one of the major activities. Suppose 3 months. Now, flooring can also start here and it takes suppose 3 months. And finishing. Finishing means the plastering, the painting, etc. and takes 3 months. So after all the activities are completed, we go for the finishing works. This also includes the painting, the wall, etc. being plastered, finished up, then painted, the doors, windows are fitted, and finally the house is ready. So here we can clearly see from the master production schedule that in which month which activity are going on. If we start the work of construction of house today, this is today. Month is 0 and we are doing it starting today. And also we can visualize clearly many works or the activities are going on in a single mode, or simultaneously we pick up multiple work activities and we carry on the thing. And the master production schedule says if we start today, all the activities required for construction or building the house as per the plan will be completed in 9 months. So our required design as per the master production schedule, whereby we try to show the various activities at different point of times, will be completed in 9 days. Another requirement, one requirement of uh, MRP or the material requirement planning we saw was master production schedule. Now let us look at another important aspect of material requirement planning which is required for MRP, the material requirement planning, and it is called as bills of materials, BOM. We shall see through an example now how this is prepared, the BOM. So bill of materials is the list of parts or components required for producing the final product. Any product you see, suppose, take any example either in front of you or think about a product. Think about opening up the product or blowing up the product. Suppose the product is a TV monitor. What I mean by blowing up of the product, that means I take apart the product. Then at the first instance I will find the monitor, the LCD screen, that is the PCB, some cooling fan, some electricity power uh, areas, etc. So, BOM is the list of parts or components required for producing the final product, showing all the details of its required quantity at every level of assembly. Now, if I would like to show it in the form of a picture, the visual depiction, the bill of materials or BOM, then we shall call it as the product structure tree. If I note it down, it is bill of material. If I try to show it in form of a picture, we call it as product structure tree. Now let us see through example the bill of material and the product structure tree. Uh, Let me take the example of a whiteboard. Whiteboard in the classrooms are being used whereby we use marker pens. That means instead of blackboard and the uh, chalks, nowadays it is whiteboard along with markers that we are using. Suppose. So I'll try to show in pictorial form the whiteboard. So my product structure tree for whiteboard. Now, if I look carefully at the whiteboard, I can see some distinct parts. What are the distinct parts? Now, one I can see the plastic sheet to write. Plastic sheet. How many are required? No? One plastic sheet of the required. Then we'll find it is covered all the sides with aluminum assembly. All of you can see whiteboard, you will find aluminum side protection that will be there. Then this whiteboard has to be fixed to a wall. So we put, suppose, wall holder, and each whiteboard requires at least two wall holder. Now, if I look at the assembly of aluminum assembly, I can further decompose that or break down into parts like aluminum side panels. That means four side panels on each side will be there. and we'll be having the corners with plastic rounded shape items. Corners bend, those also will be required as 4. Now, in order that I say one whiteboard I have to manufacture, if I look at it stage by stage as I go deeper into that, what I find, now we have different requirements at different levels. And the full and final, all the items required to produce the whiteboard is called as the product structure. Now here we have labels of items. The main item that is going to be produced is at level 0, the whiteboard. If I blow it once, the main components, then it is the first level. Then this is our second level. So immediately I can say at what level, what kind of materials are required. Now for this particular example, let me show you the bill of materials. Our requirement is a whiteboard having 4 distinct aluminum panels and 2 wall holders, and the sides have been applied with paints so that it does not hurt anybody. Now, what are the items required? One is one plastic sheet. Apart from that, we will be requiring wall holder. How many? 2. Then 4 side panel of aluminum. How many? Now 4. Apart from that, the corner bends. 4 numbers. Now, all of us can see pictorial depiction If I invert it, it will look like a tree. So we call it as a product structure tree, a visual depiction. And list of parts. The list of parts for producing the whiteboard are here. That is the bill of materials. Now let us go to the third thing, that is MRP, material requirement uh, production or the planning calculations. Now this will require the schedule, the master schedule along with the master production schedule. Now the master production schedule, suppose today we are sitting here. Today is 0th week. These are the future schedule or requirement of items in the future period of times. First week, that means next week it is 50. 2 weeks ahead, nothing. 3 weeks ahead, 30. 4 weeks ahead, 20. 5 weeks ahead, 0. 6 weeks ahead, 0. 70 and 20. So for next 2 months we have the master schedule. Now we shall try to see the production schedule. In other words, according to the requirement or the production requirement, how shall we order the items and at what point of time we shall be getting the items. Now, here we have said lead time is 3. This is 3 weeks. If I order today, I will get it after 3 weeks. Suppose I order in the first week, I will get it on the 4th week. And each order, the quantity received is 100 units. Now, for the second week, we have a scheduled receipt of 100 units. That means what? If I go here backwards, this is previous week of today and this is 2 weeks behind of today. If I would have ordered in this 2 weeks behind, then I have received 1, 2, 3. After 3 weeks, that means in the second week I have received. The order was placed 2 weeks before today. So I am receiving in the second week. At the beginning of the planning period, we find inventory level is 60 units. Now, let us go for finding out whether the materials are sufficient for our required production, that means future production, or shall we release some orders so as to receive at a given point of time, which will not hamper the production status. That means there will be no stoppage of production. First week, requirement is 50 units. Already I have 60 units in my hand. So out of this 60, 50 units I can use in the first week. Remaining 10 will still be with me in the inventory. Now come to the second week already I have 10 things, and I have released a order 2 weeks ahead before today, which I will be receiving in the second week, 100 units. In 100 units, in the second week, the requirement is 0. So this 100 units and this previous month 10 units, that makes 110 units will be there in our hand. Come to the third month, requirement is 30. So out of this 110, let me provide 30 here. Still I am left with 80 units. So no need to have any kind of order. Come to the fourth. Now we already have 80 in our hand at the beginning of fourth week. Fourth week requires 20 units. So I give them 20. Remaining are 60. Now in the next week, fifth week, no requirement. So remaining in my hand is 60. The next week, again, nothing is required. Remaining in my hand is 60. Come to the seventh week. Requirement is 70. How much I can send here? 60. And I am not receiving anything here. So, on my hand, there will be negative 10 units. That means we are shortage of the items in the seventh week. Come to the third week, eighth week. We require further 20 units. We are in a shortage position of 10 units in the seventh week. Again, we require 20 units in the eighth week. So ultimately, the requirement in the eighth week is negative 30. Shortage of 10 in the seventh, and 20 is also another shortage. Now, here we are having a situation of running out of stock. What I can do here? Now I face the situation of stock out in the seventh week. Now if I would have received 100 units here, the scheduled receipt, then here I would have said in hand I have 60, I have received 100, so total is, if I combine it, total is 160, out of which 70 goes here and remaining 90 stays back in my hand. Now out of this 90, I send 20 here, remaining would be 70. So I need not run into a shortage of inventory. So I require 100 units to be received in 7th week. We know that if I order today, I will receive after 3 weeks. Let us reverse our position. I require the thing suppose today. At what point of time I will release the order? Now, 3 weeks back. Now, here the order to be received. So, this order has to come back 3 weeks behind. So, I have to release an order of 100 units in the 4th week. so that I will not have any kind of stoppages. Now the advantages of MRP we can see, will not have a stock out position, lead time will be taken care of, due orders will be reduced, we can quickly respond to changes in demand, customer will be satisfied, and we can have a control over our production department. But overall, the material requirement planning has certain limitations. This material production schedule is susceptible to sudden changes in demand, and the demand forecast should be as accurate as possible, and the lead time which we are taking into account, if we make any mistake in its calculation, then errors can happen. The data should be reliable, and the success of material requirement planning requires integration of all concerned departments in the organization. With this, we'll end our session today. Thank you.